Hey, look, somebody asked me a question. I better answer it.
Hey, it's Aaron from AaronOnAutos.com. And today I have a question from Barath. Hopefully I'm saying that right. He wants to know why the automotive industry is in recession mode. So this is a good question because it's asked a lot. And the current news cycle, well, off and on. The current news cycle has talked a lot about automotive layoffs, the shutting down of factories, discontinuing models, things like that. But the recession we're currently in, it's in the scheme of things, it's a pretty small dip. It's not huge. It's more to do with cycles and with the big downturn in 2008 than it is with anything else. So what it comes to is most everybody in the industry, including some of those who claimed otherwise, the industry's been expecting this for a while. Most analysts have been assuming that we were going to hit some sort of downturn in automotive demand. So in other words, new car demand. In somewhere between 2018 and 2020, we happened to hit it right towards the end of 2018, and we're seeing it really this year. Demand dropped, and the reasons for demand dropping are all related to the 2008-9 recession that we had. So it's part of the recovery cycle. So what happened was, kind of the long story made short, is a lot of people did not buy new vehicles for 3 or 4 years there during the 2008 and up because people just weren't sure that they were going to keep their job. They weren't sure how much income they were going to have guaranteed. There's a lot of questions people had in general about how the economy is going to do, and the last thing you want to do is go into debt when you have a lot of uncertainty. So because of that, people delayed buying new cars. So the average age of used cars went up, and the resale value on used cars also went up. Which, because there was less demand, less people turning them in, trading in for a new one, and there was more demand for used cars because people were willing to pay cash money to buy a used car. So all of that just kind of worked, and it lasted for a little while. So it was 4 or 5 years there where the number of new cars being purchased was fairly low. We started to see a growth fairly soon after the recession as certain things started to kick into place. A lot of car companies started throwing out 0% financing, lots of other stuff to really try to bolster sales. And then people started buying new cars, and they started buying them quickly. So you had a huge upturn in new car sales about, I'm going to say, 8 years ago. So it was somewhere between 7 and 10 years ago. You started to see this big uptick. And that just kept going. It kept going up. The economy improved. People's incomes improved. The faith in where things were going and how we were recovering was renewed. And then eventually the downturn was largely forgotten, and we saw a large uptick in buy. So a lot of that uptick was makeup for those 3, 4, 5 years where there was not a lot of purchase. So those were people who were finally going, you know what, I need to get a new car. And they went out and did that. So the automotive industry saw a huge boom, but everybody knew it was a bubble. Everybody knew it was going to do this, and we were eventually going to hit the other side of that, and it was going to pop, and we were going to go back down. Luckily, it didn't pop. It just deflated. Okay. If it had popped, that's a huge plunk, and that sucks. This is a deflation. So the average loss worldwide is somewhere around, I believe, 6.5 or 7% in sales drops. A little more here in the U.S., a little less in some other countries, a little more in Europe. So the two of the largest of the markets saw a downturn. saw the bigger downturns. So have kind of so we have this drop, and it's expected to last for a little while. It's going to be 2-3 years. And then there's going to be sort of a leveling point, and then there will be, hopefully, there should be a average growth. So there should be a small but average and steady growth in the market again, as populations change and grow, and et cetera, et cetera. So that's the gist of it. Now, the downturn has affected some companies more than others. Interestingly enough, this drop in sales has not affected the luxury markets as much as it has the mainstream markets, which is usually the reverse. Usually the luxury markets take the hit first, but we've seen the opposite. The luxury market is taking less of a hit than is the mainstream market. Some specialty markets, however, have seen huge drops. Much of that, though, is because of one company. If you look at specialty markets like serious off-road, things like that, those have not seen these kind of downturns. They have not seen the huge drop. They've seen a little bit, commensurate with everybody else, but they haven't seen huge ones. The big ones have been in electric vehicles, largely because of Tesla. Tesla has seen huge, 40% this year, huge drop. That is Tesla. That is not really the overall market. That's about what I got. I know I went a little long on this, but the surprised companies by this downturn were not surprised, honest. They're using it as a reason. It's an excuse for things that they should have done a long time ago, and now they can do them because they can claim the emergency. So that's what I got. This is hopefully enough of an answer for Barath. I hope I'm not butchering your name. Hopefully this covers it. As I said, there have been several people that have asked a similar question, and I just never got around to answering it. So hopefully this is doing that job. If you have a question and you want to know something, you can hit me up in the comments down there, aarononautos.com up there. Social media, just tag me. However you can get a hold of me, ask that question, do my best. All right? This has been Aaron, aarononautos.com. Talk to you again soon.